Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to another session of This Broad. We hope that y'all enjoy the new things that we are working on. I am Dr. Nichelle Wall, Dr. Rashonda Strickland, and Dr. Jones-Hines. I'm so excited.
I think I'm most excited because we're trying new stuff and hopefully it looks good and everything. Y'all have no idea that this is a labor of love, trying to get new things to happen and you're going live and you have no idea if technology is going technology or not. But we made it.
Yes. Shout out to the love life of an Asian guy, aka Lag.
Yes,
aka Rainier. Hello.
Yeah, we're so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, so y'all know these are just us in our most purest form. You know, there's no real script here. It's just us coming off the dome, just talking and connecting. So we hope y'all enjoy and that we have a fun, festive time today.
Yes. So come on in, like, comment, share. We like to have subscribe. We like to get your questions answered by us, so that this is one of those moments where y'all can just ask us stuff and we can just answer them. Also in the chat, go ahead and let us know where you are tuning in from, whether it's Texas, whether it's abroad, wherever, so we can make sure and give you a little shout out.
Okay, speaking of shout outs, we have some lovely cookies here from a Black-owned company, Black man-owned company called Sugar Plug. He specializes in all the things sweet. He has an Etsy shop, so look him up on Instagram. It's spelled SUGA plug. So please, patronize. Nah, let me get my English together. Please go out and look him up, buy his products. I come from a long line of chefs and cooks and bakers, and it's the real deal. Oh yeah, they're legit. And I think I'm even more excited because they made one of my favorite cookies in the world, which is chipless chocolate chip cookies. And I don't know, too many people don't make this. So thank you, Sugar Plug. I can't wait to get home and drink some milk and eat this entire bag of cookies. And Sugar Plug, you slick, because you told me that you did not bake vegan cookies. And I got some vegan cookies. I cannot wait to taste these. Yeah, I almost want to open it now. I know, but just so y'all can kind of get the ums and the ahs. But we don't do ASMR because it's going to make me, it tears my nerves up. It's going to make my mouth water in a bad way. We don't need to do that. Okay. All right. So y'all, we have a lot of gossip going on in the world right now. We do, but before we get into that, somebody needs to let us know what our mood music is for today. I would sing a little bit, but I don't want to get flagged for the copyright. So I'm just gonna say shorty, and that's the start. It is Method Man and Mary J. Blige, You're All I Need. I think this is the first song that I looked at Method Man and I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
That
You don't
face-
even know.
That face looks really delicious.
That man is delicious.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be respectful because he married. That's
Yes,
what we do.
right.
We
So
respect
that's why I ain't gonna
marriage.
do nothing for laugh.
Yes,
Because
yes.
it is true.
But and the thing is, he continues to get like finer as he
Yes.
gets older.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's doing this. I don't know what fountain of youth he is drinking from.
Ambrosia.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with that.
Mhm.
Yes.
But that man, the beard, I mean, all of it, it's just nicely put together. So shout out to Method Man, who's aging like fine wine.
And Mary, and we love you too. So,
Oh yeah, good morning, gorgeous.
yes.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I also got, I have to tell you all where I got my hat from. Now, this is an old hat, so it's kind of, worn and torn, but I still love it. It came from the Black House White Market.
Oh, that's a throwback.
That's a
Back
throwback.
when they only sold black and white clothes.
Yes,
Unlike now where they sell
gray and red.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and as you all know, we do like to have a sip or two while we are doing our disrod. So we got the same bottle of wine that we still haven't drank, but we're not going to drink it today either because we are celebrating Dr. Strickland's birthday, Aries Gang.
Aries gang.
And she has
Go ahead. I do have to give a shout out to my husband whose birthday was March the 23rd.
Aries gang.
and my mama, March the 16th, but she a Pisces, but it don't matter, it's March.
Almost Aries gang.
And then we also celebrate my anniversary. I have now been married a whole year, March 22nd.
Okay, Aries, Aries marriage, Aries gay marriage.
So what we are going to be drinking is the Stella Rosa Black Cherry because it goes with the aesthetic of red.
Okay. Y'all couldn't catch the drift. We trying to give y'all themes out here.
I still had to do green though.
It's natural. It's natural who you are,
Right.
but it keeps with the theme.
Yes.
All right. So what flavor we got today?
Black Cherry.
Oh, this is
That's a new one.
I know. I be keeping
Yeah,
y'all.
I know. She was trying to sneak some in.
I mean, at least I'm not getting y'all over here,
No, we've done that before.
I was looking at you on camera and with that flower in your hair, you kind of look like sister from No, I was thinking from Sparkle.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Ah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I need the other side.
All right. Well, while Dr. Wall is getting us ready, I'm gonna go ahead and ask y'all the question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in light of what has been going on in the air, do you find a man who will stand up for you attractive? And ladies and interns, y'all go ahead and answer too, so we can read your comments as well.
Okay. Do I find a man that will stand up for me attractive?
Mm-hmm.
So, blanket response to the question, yes. But I already know where you're going. I do think that there's context for what stand up for me means, but absolutely a man that would protect me if I was in danger or protect me if I was being ridiculed or something like that, that yes, I would want him to do that.
In what way?
You see, she already trying to get started. Okay, so in what way? I definitely would want him to at least address what's happening. Go to whomever it is, talk to them, let them know, like, hey, I don't appreciate you disrespecting my wife. You should apologize, whatnot. And then if it continues to go, then I would want him to remove me from the situation. I think that would be ideal for me.
Okay.
Well, let's do Dr. Wall.
Now, what I will say is, I definitely am pro just being your family. I do believe that there is a right and wrong way to do things. We're not going to get too far into the Oscar topic yet, because that's going to be later in the show. But I do believe in, fighting for your loved ones, but fighting doesn't always mean that you have to, slap people, fight people.
Mm-hmm. So just a segue. Oh, well, you can answer. No, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Jones. Look at me. I'm ready to just. I'm so excited. I'm ready to just move on with this thing. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I would say my response is different now from when I was younger. Oh, when I was younger, throw them hands, bro. Because I told you I used to like the rims and the Tims. So I need to see that thuggism in me. But now, because I'm different, I need you to be able to be emotionally intelligent. I need you to be able to manage yourself. And I know everybody has their tipping points. I get that. Mm-hmm. But right at the jump, I need you to, as long as they didn't put their hands on me, which if they put their hands on me, we jumping.
Oh yeah, no, that's a different.
So I'm gonna be fine. Right. But outside of them being physical with me, I would definitely want my husband to be able to de-escalate things with his words.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before we segue and answer on to the next stuff, Sugar Plug, we thank you for the cookies, but I want everybody to be able to see Dr. Jones' Hines and Dr. Law's beautiful faces. So we're going to put those off to the side. Thank you again so much for the cookies and tailoring them to what we really like. That is very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
So what I was going to say and segue on to was, so you were saying that you are pro defend your family and stand up for family. So one of the things I was thinking about was a little bit earlier this year, Steve Harvey said something about his wife and him shouting her out or giving her props for changing his style. Mm-hmm. So now this is on a lesser, like, intense level.
Yes.
But it is about defending and, like, I want you to present the best image possible for yourself and for the family. Mm-hmm. So would you feel comfortable, since we're going to ask a question now.
Okay.
Switch it up. Would you ladies feel comfortable telling your partner / spouse that they needed to change something about themselves?
Yes. Next question.
You see the lack of hesitation there?
I believe in communication. Oh, yeah. Like, I want the same thing. If he's seeing something that he's like, hey, babe, would you mind doing this? Now you're not going to control me, because that's not what we do here, and I'm not going to control you. Mm-hmm. But if you see something, or you feel like, hey, I can elevate my game, or I see something and I feel like you can elevate your game, we in this together, and you represent me, and I might not like the way you represent me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like because I try my best to communicate effectively, I think I would be able to say it in a way that it still may be hurtful, because anytime you're saying something to someone about changing something about them, it can still be hurtful, but I think I can say it in a way where he knows that the hurtfulness is not coming because of what or how I said it. It's coming from there's an insecurity or something right there.
Mm-hmm. And I just to piggyback on that point, I think a lot of people miss that. Mm-hmm. It's the how you say things, not necessarily always the what you say. Because obviously, just giving this example with Steve Harvey and his wife, whatever she said resonated enough with him that he saw a need to make a change and kind of accordingly step up to the most current century.
And I always tell people that if you get offended by what I say, then that's on you. If you get offended by how I say it, then that's on me, because I delivered it trashy.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree. I tell that when I'm working with clients, I tell them that all the time. The sender is responsible for the delivery of the message. Mm-hmm. The receiver is responsible for clarifying the message.
Yeah.
So if I don't understand what you mean, if I'm not understanding the tone, or I'm thinking something about what you said, it's my responsibility as the receiver to be like, hey, so just want to double check with you. How how did that, why, how did you say that? Why did it come out that way?
Right.
What was that all about?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that, I think that's why we have to make sure we communicate how a person is communicating with you.
Mhm.
Because if we don't know this is offending you, then we can't change it.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that I've had conversations like that with significant others. Like, hey, can you work on this? Can you do this or whatever? And I haven't ever been met with anything negative. It's normally, oh, okay, yeah, babe, or sure, what were you thinking, or whatever. Or if I really love you, I'm gonna get you something.
So that's more my style.
Yeah.
Because I have done that, actually. I will go get an outfit or a pair of shoes or a watch or something. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I think it looks good, I've taken you into consideration, your body style, your personal style, the types of colors that look good on you, things like that. So I've taken all of that into account if I'm going to go get something for you. Because, acts of service is one of my love languages. So,
So what about you all? What about you interns? Have you had that dialogue with a friend or a significant other about something that was hurtful that, either they received well or it didn't go well? Like, tell us about it.
Yeah. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, what I would say probably doesn't go well is getting rid of people's stuff. Not giving them an opportunity to do it themselves. Like you're just like, you know what, I don't like this. I'm just gonna throw it away, or I'm gonna take it to Goodwill, and not giving that person an opportunity to part with their stuff in a way that works for them. So take it from me, don't do that. So don't do that.
Yes. The only thing I will do that with is like socks and underwear.
Oh,
Because my mom has always told me if you throw his socks away or underwear away, you need to buy him some more. So I always make sure before I do that, I buy some more.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that'd be a struggle for some men. You look up and it's just hanging on by a thread in the band, and you just got to throw them in the, go and throw that in the trash.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So speaking of throwaway,
not throwaway.
One of our next topics is somebody that seems to throw their life away. Really. Some people call him Jussie Smollett. Is it Smollett? Smollett? Jussie Smollett. Oh no, the next one I don't.
We do either. Just Jussie.
Okay. So if y'all have been under a rock, you probably don't know this. He recently was convicted of committing a crime against himself, falsifying a hate crime essentially, and got, I think it was 150 days.
Yeah.
As far as the sentence, but he was only in there for what, 3-4 days?
Yeah.
Before he was able to get out. Yeah.
I think he was only sentenced 5 months.
It was something weird like that. So I just want to get y'all's initial thoughts about the overall situation.
So when it first broke, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody done something to Jussie. But then once the details started coming out, I was like, things seem kind of weird. Whatever happened has happened. So I'm not trying to say one way or the other. That's not my business. But what I will say is, I do feel like the sentencing was not equivalent to the crime, considering we have, little children out here that have unalived people going to rallies, crossing state lines. They didn't serve nothing. So to me, it's like, okay, if we're gonna have such stringent sentencing, let's get some equality across the courts. That's my issue. You know, I think we have such a skewed system, which, you know, we talked about this before, and I can't see somebody doing a hate crime against themselves. Yes, they did use services that could have been used elsewhere. I get that. But doing a hate crime against themselves, and now they got to go to jail for 5 months? No, and you can tell he's a therapist. I'm looking at how he's behaving, and it is alarming. And I'm like, okay, who are y'all getting him some help? What's going on? Like, this is not the Jussie that we grew up with. Like, it's not Smollett family.
Right.
Yes, I would agree with you. When I initially heard about it, I was like, oh my God. Seriously, we see like here doing hate crimes? What we did? You know, I'm like, yeah, we have been out and about with the community for a long time now. So why we still hate? But when it came out that this was a crime against himself, I was like, who hurt him? What's wrong with him? Of course, I go there. Come sit on the couch. Come sit. Because we need to talk about this. Why? Like, what's going on? Why did you need attention, and why did you choose that to get the attention? Because you are Empire. Ain't that the show you from? Empire. You combine the power and Empire. Yes. Yeah. So you on here with that one with Taraji. Yeah. You with her. So, sir, you already getting attention. What's going on?
And you come from that family.
Yeah.
You know, and that may have been some of the problem.
Not getting up to from family.
Yeah. And I think there is a saying in Hollywood that there's no such thing as, you know, bad press. You know, so there could have been the belief that I just needed more, like you said, more attention to boost my career. But I heard some conspiracy theories, so y'all know I be having I ain't got it on today, I be having my tin hat on. So some of the conspiracy theories is I think they are related to Kamala Harris in some sort of way. I think it's by marriage. Because this happened all during the time of the election cycle, that it was to like kind of draw attention of some sort. Yeah, I told you I have my tin hat on.
I did not know that. I did not hear that. I did not know that. Okay, that's good information.
Yeah. Now, whether that's true or not, of course, nobody will ever know because you can't know what's inside somebody else's head. But it does make me wonder, you know, is there something else behind that? Because it's such a far-fetched type of thing to do. And it's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Huge display. And he is theatrics. That's one thing that comes to mind. Like, it seems like a lot of theatrics. And the mental health person in me definitely also was saying, you know, what in the world? Like, where are the mental health professionals? Is somebody evaluating him? Is somebody taking the time out to really assess this situation, do the deeper dive on why you would choose, like you said, choose this method of attention seeking? And because you've ruined your career at this point.
And did you think because of this continuing to be a hate situation or a hated community, dislike community, I guess, did you think that was the quickest way for you to get the attention that you wanted or was trying to get?
That is possible.
Yeah, because later it came out that the brothers that attacked him, he had been intimate with one of them. Like, they were in a intimate relationship, and they were also going to train him. So it was a lot happening with this situation. Now, what I will say is I am appreciative that his family is sticking beside him. And regardless of what they all believe, because not everybody is vocal about what they believe. More so the brothers are, but they are still showing up and, being present, for him. So I think that is good, because we don't know if this is a psychotic break, he just a narcissist, or chasing something. Yeah.
Well, and I hope that now that he's out there, whether or not he was doing it for attention or not, hopefully he's getting therapy. Like, and no shakes at any other mental health field, but I would like for him to get therapy.
Yeah.
So that he can work, that he can do a deep dive on what's going on with him and why was that your choice.
Agreed.
But we do have some comments. I want us to, before we get too far gone, I want us to address some of them.
They're coming up on the screen too.
Okay. Yeah,
Go ahead.
So Danielle Harris, she said, I have definitely had conversations with my significant other on his style. He has responded well and allowed me to help him make improvements. That's good. It's good when the conversations that we have with our significant others is received, and it's like it's more appreciated than you can't tell me what to do. That argument stuff. That's really good, Danielle. And then Pinkett-Smith said, no conversation needed. Just purchase all new underwear and just silent, laugh out loud. Surprise.
I love that. I do that with my husband when it comes to thermals. Because I love my husband to death, but he will rock a set of thermals till the wheels fall off. Because he works, in an environment that gets very cold. So he just, he loves his set layers. He's like, where's my black set of thermals? I'm like, oh, I got rid of those. But I got you a new set.
Right.
They're in the closet if you want to go get them. So I hear you, pieces.
Let's see. Yeah, Shantae.
Trish is next.
Oh, go ahead.
So we have Trishana J. She says, Jussie is interesting. We have to make sure that we are not crying wolf and taking steam away from those who need to call out for help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I do think that, I don't believe this was his intention, but it definitely sours other people that go through hate crimes.
Yeah.
And it does. It will make people give you the side eye. As we all know, us, Black and brown folks don't get the benefit of the doubt. And when you have somebody with such a high profile creating a false narrative and then continuing to not only double down, but like octuple down on the story, it just, as much as we don't want to say that Black people are a monolith, we know that within our community, but people outside of our community don't necessarily see us that way. They do see us as a monolith. So when one of us messes up, it is a reflection on all of us.
Yep.
So I do agree that it just made it more difficult for somebody that really does experience a hate crime in the future.
Before we move on, there have been several comments about how beautiful we look. So thank you everyone for those comments. We have Shantae. It was crazy that his thought process to gain power and publicity. He thought to stage a hate crime. I'm curious to what made him. Okay.
I think we're all curious.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to say, what made him take such a serious situation and make light of it?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Dr. Strickland was just saying. Like, this is a community that already has a light shine on them, and it's unhealthy already for people to point fingers at them, poke fun at them, condemn them to hell. They already go through enough.
Yeah.
This community, and so for someone that's a part of that community to bring even more attention by crying wolf, like that's hurtful.
Absolutely. Such a shame. For a young man to have such a promising career, being on a hit TV show, You know, now at the time it may have been on its decline, but at one point in time, I think just about everybody named Mom was watching Empire.
Yeah.
So to go from being such a rising star to now you are for sure blacklisted.
Yeah.
It's sad to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And to see somebody's demise on such a public level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes me wonder though if there will be an opportunity for him to come back. It reminds me of what is his name? Iron Man.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Because he was
down and out.
Yes, and
Seriously.
then somebody took a chance with him, and he was able to come back. He was able to make over that image, and show up better for himself. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to: showing up better for yourself. And so, I hope he's able to do a 180, and that someone will give him that opportunity once he, gets himself together. But only time will tell.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You have any other comments?
Hey, Dante.
Hey,
Drinking partners.
Drinking partners.
And as y'all can see, the comments are coming up on the screen, but if you definitely ask questions, I'll read them out loud. So Starling Oliver says, yes, that's true. One represents the whole, and she says the rules are different for people of color.
Unfortunately.
That's why I just hate when that happen. Because it's like, dude, we already got you. You are in the community and you black.
And you had two, now they were of African descent, but you also had two other black men participate
In this.
in these shenanigans.
Yeah.
Clownery. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But like we said, speaking of
Clownery.
I'm doing blue.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So some of y'all may know about these two individuals and some of y'all may not. So there is this young little rapper named Blueface and a young girl, I'm assuming she raps as well. Her name is Chrisean Rock. And she was on his little reality show. It was a spinoff, I guess, of Bad Girls Club. If y'all follow the Shade Room, you'll know she's the girl that got the missing tooth in front. So they've been up, down, and all around, it seems like, for the last year or so, or probably 2 years at this point. But the thing that struck me most about this was becoming obsessed with another person.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mental health stuff going on with this live is going to be a lot about mental health, for real.
Yes, as it usually is.
Yeah. But becoming obsessed with another person to the point that you will put yourself in danger.
Yes.
And repeatedly put yourself in danger.
Yeah.
But that danger be being locked up or actually getting hurt physically.
Yeah.
Again, who hurt you? Mm-hmm. I would love to, in a ideal setting, sit down with her and kind of figure out what happened with your attachment styles.
Yeah.
What did you learn about how somebody is supposed to treat you, whether that be a man? But she was also on this little show, so obviously she doesn't have a great relationship with women either. If you get your tooth knocked out,
right?
So what did you learn about being able to have relationships with other people, conflict resolution, value of self? There's so much that you can see in her that again, attention seeking. I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for love. I'm looking for stability. I mean, there's so much. It definitely boggled my mind.
Yeah. Well, I have never heard of this couple.
They're not even a couple.
Well, whatever they have going on. But based on what you told me about this couple in the past, it's when two unhealthy people join together in whatever way, that does not mean that you're going to have a healthy relationship. You're going to have an unhealthy relationship because you have two unhealthy people trying to play with something that is serious, and it's serious enough for you to realize that this is too serious for you to get into until I get some help.
Yeah.
Also, not to put all the blame on her.
Oh, absolutely not.
He loves this type of energy, and I don't know what he doing in and out of the bedroom. But he's doing something, because this man, I think he has 6 children now, and they're all like
stair step.
I can't even say they stair step. The majority of them was born in the same year. He has, I don't know all of the baby mothers or anything, but he has a daughter by Floyd Mayweather daughter, and so she was just like this with him, really obsessed. That's my man, that's my husband, and you can tell.
I think you're thinking of,
Is it a different person?
you're thinking
Who is it?
NBA.
The point is, they all the same.
Yes. If you heard one, you heard one.
The point, and they keep creating more and more kids. So it's just like everybody is named after everybody. Like,
it's a lot.
I want the little kids to do better.
Somebody in here said, Lena D said wrong person.
Thank you, Lena. I'm getting old, y'all. I'm getting old.
Well, I think the other point to your point is, what are these men? These men are giving these women just enough to keep them interested and keep them going crazy over them, and they bait them. So once they bait them and they get them on the hook, then it's like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to keep you, because of whatever reason that you haven't worked through, whether it's the attachment style, whether it's you got hurt along the way, maybe you did have a healthy attachment style, but something happened in between.
Absolutely. We've talked in previous sessions before about different types of manipulation. And one of the ones that Dr. Jones-Hines is talking about is breadcrumbing. That's just leaving enough of a trail for you to follow behind me, that you're never actually going to get the bread. And that seems to be, now, of course, we are outsiders looking into this situation, and we don't know all of the ins and outs. So, of course, you can only go by what you see. But it does appear that this young lady has been breadcrumbed multiple times. It appears she has been gaslit multiple times. And this is the kind of thing where people say you don't play with people's emotions. That's why that's a segment.
And that's why she ended up in jail, right? Because he was playing with her emotions, and she did something. So you've got to be careful being straight up with a person. Now, you're not always going to get that person accepts you being straight up with them, but it can limit your liability if you are very clear with the person and letting them know, like, hey, this is just casual, relations. This is not a serious monogamous relationship. That's not what I'm looking for. And give that person choice and opportunity to say yes, no, I don't want to do that, or like, okay, I'm cool with that, and we can continue to negotiate and talk about the rules as we go. And you don't have to have these trauma responses, because every time you breadcrumb me and then you do something else, then now I'm traumatized, because now I don't trust you, because I don't know if you're going to do it again. So now I'm getting ready to be on your heels, because you've now traumatized me.
Yeah. I think the other part of that isn't often talked about, though, is that Blueface also needs to be aware of the person he's dealing with, because you're going to end up
playing a dangerous game.
A hashtag. if you don't stop. I don't think he realized, like, yeah, okay, I may not want her like that, and she need to know what I'm saying, but you also need to have some understanding of she ain't gonna understand. So do you want to hurt yourself? Are you trying to get on the live? Like, what depths are you willing to go to with this situation?
Because you keep taking her choice away. And now, granted, at this point, she keeps choosing you.
It's not sure.
Right. But
it's so sad.
yeah.
It's so sad. I think I saw one of the comments that said a train wreck, and it is. It is a train wreck that we're all, people that follow these individuals like kind of closely. It is a train wreck that you're watching happen in slow motion. And this, I wonder when this young lady is in her 30s, 40s, what she'll look back on and think about, provided everybody, makes it to that stage.
Yeah.
What she
And
will be
provided
feeling.
she don't feel like she's stuck.
That too. That
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Small comments?
Sure.
I'll put them back up. I've been posting them.
Okay. Who you starting with?
Wherever you want to go.
So I think Miss Lena, she said he's very problematic too. He's very prone to foolishness, like his whole reality show.
Yeah. I mean, that whole concept of Bad Girls Club, because I think it was mimicked after that. I mean, that whole concept in itself is problematic. That you're going to put people together that have, I hate saying anger problems because anger is a secondary emotion, but
Difficulties managing their emotions.
yeah, have difficulties managing their emotions, have poor communication skills, poor conflict resolution, big egos. You put all of that together and you were just asking for controversy and problems. And that's exactly
But that's what people thrive on. So, yes, his reality show could have been dramatic and full of drama and everything. However, that's what people like. So he's, we don't know. I mean, obviously, if that's his life, then he may like it. But we don't know if that's what he likes or if he knows that's what's on sale.
Now that is true too, because his name is Blueface. So he obviously likes those blue faces. Even though they're really kind of green. But
Well, his gang related.
oh really?
Oh.
See, I was thinking it was
Green faces?
Yeah,
No,
like big faces.
it's blue
Oh,
faces.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. See, look at me out of the loop.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm complete. I don't even. Yeah,
we talking about their mental health. We don't care how they got the name.
right. So thank you, Dante. He said these boys, they are not men yet. Yes, coming from a man.
Yes. And I would love for us to do a session about something like that. Just thinking about Dante's comment and talk to men on what they see as the difference between a man, a male, and a boy.
That part. So Dante, get ready.
You and the drinking partners.
Right. You got something?
Shante writes, comment is outside of these people, it seems like this is what this new generation wants from a relationship.
You know what? I have noticed that there's this awe about toxic relationships, about like, oh my God, girl, he called me all like 50 times. Oh, he just wants me so bad. And there's this weird unhealthiness about, because it was so funny. I can't remember where I saw this, but it was some post about Genuine's song, So Anxious. And the part he goes, it's 9 o'clock, and then he said it's 10. Sorry. And then he said it's 10:10, I'm hating you. So somebody in the comments was like, oh my God, that's so obsessive, and why he doing that? And another person that obviously was a little bit older was like, let's call communication. Like, isn't that what you want? Like, he said, hey, like, call me when you get out of work, like, come see me, and now you, what's going on? It's 10:10. So I thought that was interesting, but you do see a lot of people praising unhealthy relationship dynamics.
I think it's because people don't know what unhealthy relationship dynamics are. What they deem to be healthy as grown women, we like, nah, that ain't healthy. You might need to run from that, sweetie.
Yeah.
So I think people are not seeing healthy relationships. You know, we have a lot of single parents.
Yeah.
And with single parents come a lot of unhealthy relationships.
Yeah. That's true.
Now, this is a comment that I definitely want to share here. Trishana Gale says, there's a weird fascination with seeing people act a fool with seemingly no consequences. Correction, no consequences for the person watching. We can watch others' trauma as long as it doesn't touch ours.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It's like, you know, if you go back to, you know, Roman times, or, you know, they had gladiators and things like that, and you get a kick out of, you know, someone being brutally beaten, maimed, you know, torn apart in all these different kinds of ways, and you have this weird fascination with destruction.
Well, they did that to our ancestors. They used to have fires. This person is going to be lynched at this time, at this tree. And they would go and watch.
Yeah.
Like it's a fascination with that.
Yeah.
And it's not always us to do it, because I don't want to see. I don't want to see nobody lynched. I don't want to see nobody beat. I don't want to see nobody be electrocuted. I don't want to see none of it.
Yeah. I agree. I think a modern day version of that is rubbernecking on the highway. You know, when there's an accident, you know, and everybody wants to turn their head and be like, what's that? You know, so I think that's a modern day version of being obsessed with morbidity, or things like UFC, or, you know, bare knuckle fighting, stuff like that, being obsessed with harshness, violence, and I hate to say verbal violence, because it's not really the definition of violence, but verbal aggression. You know, let your neighbors be outside cussing each other out. Where you that's where everybody gonna be at, you know, trying to see like what's going on over there. Because I agree with that comment. As long as it ain't got nothing to do with me, I can be once removed and safe.
Yeah. Starling Oliver said it takes more effort to see healthy relationships because they are not on public display. That's why they are healthy. They know how to keep things private. I like that.
Agreed.
Let me heart that. I like that.
That's a good comment.
Before we move on to the next topic, how are y'all liking seeing y'all's comments come up on the video?
We told y'all we're trying some new things. We're trying to, you know, step our game up.
I know.
Okay, so speaking of unhealthy relationships, oh Lord have mercy. We should do a whole series, just on this right here.
Yes.
I don't even know where to begin.
I think you have to start with the once married couple, and then you can move on into the crazy.
So I would say this is a result of when you don't choose a partner who is for you. When you choose partners who are attractive or because of some sort of external thing and not looking for internal things, these are consequences. And I'm not saying that they didn't love each other. I'm not saying that, and we're talking about, did you put it up? Okay. We're talking about Kanye, Kim, and Pete. I'm not saying that Kanye and Kim didn't love each other. I'm not in their marriage. I don't know. But for this type of fallout to happen, something was not investigated in the beginning. I don't know what they could have been. I don't know what, because they're not my couple to see. But something was not investigated, and or something was not through while they were married.
Absolutely. And I think, so I'm going to tread lightly here because none of these individuals are our clients. So again, we are outsiders looking in and do not have all of the information. However, Kanye has openly spoken about his own mental health struggles, and with bipolar. I believe bipolar 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And he's talked about being on and off of his medication.
And has chosen now to not be on it.
Right.
So I do think that this is also what it looks like to be with a person that has significant mental health problems.
Right.
And I don't think that this is something that people see regularly. You know, that you see depression, you see anxiety, but the severe mental health problems, you know, the schizophrenias, bipolars, chronic, you know, deep depression, they look very different than what people believe they look like. And I can only imagine the emotional roller coaster that took place in their marriage.
Which is why I said they didn't do their due diligence. Because if Kim knew, I don't know when she found out that he had bipolar, he was diagnosed with bipolar. But if she knew that, there should have been a line of questioning. Okay, so how do you take care of it? Because that's not to say that he can't be stable in a relationship. That does not mean that he does not deserve love. That doesn't mean any of that. However, her line of questioning should have been, okay, you know what? Well, let's go to therapy because I need to know how to love you. I need to know, with you being diagnosed with this diagnosis, what does that mean for me? What do I need to do as your spouse to make sure you remain healthy? What do you need to do as my spouse to make sure you're remaining healthy? What are you doing now to take care of yourself?
Yeah, and I think Kim is an enabler. So Kim wants to be loved so bad by what is popular in relationships, which tends to be Black men. She has a aesthetic that she wants to meet, and even though yes, she is a woman of color, before then she wanted to get as close to whiteness as possible. And then once she started dating Black men, you can see the progression of her as well as her sisters. And I think Kanye West is not a man who needed a yes woman as a wife. He needed somebody that was going to hold him accountable. And unfortunately, when his mother passed away because she chose to go and get the elective surgery in a condition that was not, you know, meant for that surgery, and passed away, Kanye had no checks and balances. And the trauma of his mother's passing, like that is a lot to have to process. You got a new wife, you got babies coming, you losing money. You know, he did have bankruptcy at one point. So it's kind of like he's probably traditional when it comes to Black men don't go to therapy. You know, the Black community as a whole, and many people of color don't trust professionals. Thank God, you know, more and more of us are getting into the field, so it makes people feel comfortable, but they don't trust outside help because historically outside help has not been safe.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that, like, I hope our podcast can do is normalize mental health. And like I said earlier, making sure people understand that doesn't mean you have a death sentence. It means that you just have to maneuver in the world differently. And differently means with tools. So you may have to take medication. You may have to learn some skills to manage your symptoms of whatever they are. And it's nothing wrong with it because all of us, I promise, I tell people all the time, all of us need to be doing 12 steps. It don't matter if you have an addiction or not, all of us need to be working on the 12 steps.
Yeah, I usually tell people, we all got a little something. You know, we may not all have our book diagnosis, but we don't got a little something.
We got some, as Trishana say, a sprinkle.
Yeah, we got to sprinkle something. You know, and I agree with you, ladies. I definitely see, again, this is another tragic situation, and they're all hurt. Kim's hurt, Kanye's hurt, Pete,
And those children.
oh, that's the main thing.
Yes. Although, and this is something we can talk about on another session, Lil North is going down that road like her daddy. It's some similarities.
Of mental health or being
Mental health.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I don't see the children much. I have, from what I have seen of her, she is a little bit more lively than it seems like the other three are. So, I mean, she looks like him the most. You know, that is definitely, that's your day. But it is a train wreck, you know, and it's a sad situation, and there's so many people who are getting caught up in the crosshairs.
Yeah.
And I also think, again, since these are public figures, there is a lack of accountability happening
Yes.
on all parts.
You took it right on out. So
Like,
get ready to say that.
Yeah, because a lot of the behavior that's being displayed, and I think D.L. Hughley said something very similar,
Yeah.
that if these were just Joe Schmo and just regular, this would not be going the way that it's going. You know, somebody would have filed charges by now. You know, there may have been restraining orders, things like that. Now, I get it. You know, he's hurting, and, you know, he seemingly, at least inconsistently, says that he wants his family back. But, you know, this is very open, it's very public, and these things are documented now.
Yeah.
Like the things you said, the things that you've done, and I don't think anyone is really, like you were saying, Dr. Wall, is telling him like, hey, bruh, like, you need to step back a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you want to tarnish your own legacy.
Yeah.
That you took at least 10, 15, possibly 20 years to develop in a span of a year.
Yeah. I think DL and Trevor Noah said it best. You know, Trevor Noah has experience with his mother being a victim of domestic violence, and actually was shot and rushed to the hospital due to her perpetrator. And just, you know, kind of talking about what that looks like and how this is not healthy, and how he definitely admires Kanye West for his artistry, but it's hard to continue to admire somebody when they are like this and they are willing to tear anybody down just because they're not doing what they want them to do.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to the people that's around him. Because I think that's when we talked about picking your tribe correctly. You have to have, it doesn't matter if you're the person that is, you know, spending the most money on everybody to do this and everybody to do that, and you have a lot of people around you with their handout, you're not going to get the honest truth because they don't want that handout to stop. Unless they just one of those people who like, you know what, I don't care about your money because you are about to harm yourself.
Yeah.
And you are about to ruin any opportunity you can have to have a relationship with your children. Because if I were Kim, I would be too scared to let my children go with you because you're too unstable.
Yeah.
If you're manic, I don't know what you're gonna do.
And the threats. I'm like, you making these public threats to all these men talking about you're gonna go do this to them and do that to them. And I'm just like, sir, you do know. You do know this is getting to a place of terroristic threats, right? Like, sir, you're gonna get locked up.
Man, mental health is real. You know, and as much as I hate, and I'm cringe of saying this, I don't like the situation that's presented, but I do think that it is a good opportunity. Put a disclaimer asterisk on that, for people to see what bipolar really looks like, because
Not necessarily textbook.
and what people usually think about bipolar is, well, I was happy one minute and I was sad the next minute, and then I was mad at this minute, and then I was sad the next minute.
Yeah.
And that's not what bipolar is. There's this really off narrative about what that diagnosis really looks like. And again, we're seeing just a small snippet from him.
And it's scary. It is so scary.
Because he's unmedicated. It wouldn't be so scary if he would be consistent in getting help. Whatever. And I'm not even saying, well, where he is now, he probably needs medication.
He needs
But-
inpatient stay.
And that too, probably. But everybody that has this diagnosis don't necessarily have to take medication. However, you need to be consistent in your therapy. And you need to be using because we teach people all the time that don't take medication how to manage their symptoms.
Yeah.
And they already know, okay, if they get any further along in not being able to manage their symptoms, we monitor that. So that we can then, okay, now we're at the point where you may need to think about a low dosage. Because the low dosage may need to help you push
Get through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I just hate that this double standard is turning into something extremely dangerous. You know, Kanye been dating before they even for real decided to get divorced. You know, they just had separated. He's been dating. Now
he's dating somebody now.
he's dated several people.
Okay.
Like probably I think this season like number 4 or 5 in this short span of time. And now that Kim has come out with, you know, the person that she's interested in, and he's quirky, he's a lot of things that Kanye is. He's just a different ethnicity, really, when it boils down to.
Because he also suffers from mental health issues.
Yes, because Pete Davidson used to date Ariana Grande.
He publicly talked about having depression and thoughts of harming himself permanently. So he's been very vocal about that. So somebody in the comments earlier said, the common denominator is Kim. So then just thinking about she's been married before, but we're only going to talk about Kanye. So you're married to a man that has bipolar. You're now dating a man that appears to have chronic severe depression, or at least the history. At least the history, per their words. What is it that you are not addressing internally that you are attracting men that have significant, emotional problems?
And did you learn from the last time? What are you going to do different this time? Even if you're going to remain in a relationship with them, that's fine. Like we said earlier, everybody deserves love, and that's fine. However, what are you going to do different this time that will sustain the relationship?
Yes.
I think it's across the board in that family, though. I can think of one healthy marriage in a family that we see. All sisters that publicly date men who need them or are struggling in some type of way or are narcissists or something. It's sad.
So where did they learn to be enablers from?
I don't know, because at the end of the day, the way that they talk about their father was a beautiful person. Maybe it's the trauma of losing their father at a young age, and then mom moving however she moved, because we're not privy to that information, and maybe that solidified how they should date as women. Because even the son, he picks people that are going to hurt him, even though it's a lot of toxicity.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
There's a lot with them.
Let's see. You got something?
I'm just putting them up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but hurt people. Ultimately, at the end of the day, misery loves company, but I really believe that misery loves miserable company. So if I'm hurt for whatever reason, whether that hurt is real or perceived, I don't want to be in that hurt alone.
Mm.
So I'm going to do things that bring people to me,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to be in this by myself. Versus doing the opposite and trying to heal and, like I said, learn from this situation, because that's a lot of work.
Yes.
And I don't want to do that kind of work.
Because my thing is, y'all not even divorced, or what? You're even divorced for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So both of you need to probably go to therapy to help you to heal from the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Learn how to co-parent.
right,
There's so many layers.
that need to be learned.
Mm-hmm.
Shantae said, outside of the mental state of the parties involved, it's sad that so many people are overlooking that this has surpassed trying to get a woman back. Yes, ma'am. This is harassment. And ultimately, Kim is in a super tough spot. This is the father of her children. However, you don't know how far he may actually go because he doesn't know how far he'll go, especially off his meds. That is so true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I think some of the statements that D.L. Hughley and Trevor Noah made, that this is dangerous, and that if this was just regular, non-celebrity people, this would be going a very different direction.
Yeah.
And we have seen time and time again in the news, online, that now Kim is not a Black woman, but that Black women are dying at a very high rate due to partner violence.
Yeah.
And it is something to really be concerned about. If you see a person that's engaging in this type of behavior and you're laughing and you're bigging them up, and it just puts extra fuel to their fire to help them justify their behavior.
Yeah. Especially the stand. It's okay to be a fan and love somebody, their work and all that. I'm gonna forever be a Leah stan, for real. But if she was out here doing crazy stuff, Lord rest her soul, I'm not going to love that part of you. I'm not gonna be like, well, she can do no wrong. No, you're doing it, and I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, well, she'll be okay. It ain't that big of a deal. Okay. When something horrible ends up happening, the people that's gonna have to pick up the pieces are those children.
Yeah.
So I definitely hope Kanye, Kim, and people hear this or something like this from their tribe, so that all of them can get what they need, get some assistance, get some help. Because even Pete at this point, because now he's been included into the drama that they have going on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And the drama. Of course, y'all know we could not end without talking about the slap her ground world.
I have so many thoughts about this.
It's so many layers and levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say let's start at the beginning of this, because there's a long-standing history of back and forth with Chris Rock and the Smiths. Negative.
Okay.
So yes, of course they did have a friendship and things like that. Younger brother has worked with them on all of us, or whatever that show us. My brain is moving slow, but there has been, I think, 2 other instances where Chris Rock has been told, hey, stop talking about Jada. Stop talking about Will. Like, let's keep our name out your mouth. So there's turmoil there. And of course, he's that type of comedian. He's gonna push the envelope. It is what it is. So that's not to say we're trying to police comedians. But my issue with the situation that happened on Sunday is that there was no awareness on either of their part in how they could have done differently. Chris Rock should, at this level, this caliber of celebrity and comedian, took a moment to research these jokes that Amy Schumer, a white woman, came up with. and be like, okay, is this something that I need to be saying right now? What's going on? What's happening in this situation?
So is that why she said she got offended by Will?
And she was traumatized.
She was traumatized.
I did not know that she was the writer.
Yeah, I didn't either.
She's the writer of the particular joke. The second part of that is, Will, I need you to make an appointment with Dr. Romney, who is your therapist.
Oh, I thought it was
I didn't know Dr. Romney was his therapist.
I don't. Was he saying the learning from a coach, life coaching or something?
Or was it always Dr. Ron?
From what I know, Dr. Romney.
Okay.
I need you to see her because your trauma is coming up. And having watched his mini docu-series on YouTube, was it YouTube? I think it was YouTube. I know the depths of where that comes from. Growing up in a home with an abusive father, who had PTSD from the military and things of that nature, and you are the funny sibling. You have the funny sibling, you have the angry sibling, you have the one that ignored everything. You can't keep all of that bottled up and expect to function at a good place. You're at the pinnacle of this moment, and all of that came crashing down because you couldn't properly handle what somebody said about your wife. I'm not the type of person that's like, I think one of them is wrong. No, they both wrong.
And I have pros and cons to both of them.
Yeah.
I think Chris Rock did his job as a comedian because they all typically have distasteful jokes. However, and although he said he didn't know about Jada's diagnosis, I do agree with you, you should research it. But 9 times out of 10, most women who go bald, not short haircut, not having their hair short, but bald, it's a reason. There's a reason for that. And and she had just done it. So it's still, if you would have made this joke maybe 3-4 years from now, it may not have been so sensitive. But right now, it's still sensitive, even though she rocks it. And even though because she said she had to get the courage to do it. So it's something about a woman having to go bald that when she's married, her husband has to see that and feel that emotion, that negative emotion, whether it's sad, whether it's hurt, whether it's embarrassed, whether it's empty, because our hairs are gory.
And I was thinking about that too. And I agree with both of you ladies. I think that there was a lot of wrong on both parts. And it also is about what we tell women about beauty. And what it means to be a woman. You know, all of the images that we see, we don't see images of bald women being praised and glorified and supported. Now, yes, men do go bald and people make fun of bald men and things like that. But being a bald woman, again, that's not the typical experience that you're going to have in seeing a bald woman. You know, so you're going to be a little bit more sensitive. You know, you've lost a part of you because she's not bald by choice.
Right.
You know, she is losing. Yeah, she is losing her hair. So it's one thing if I know that I can, you know, cut my hair to that level, and I'm going to grow back. Yeah, at some point in time. You know, that's one thing. But if I cut my hair to this level and it's not, I know it's not coming back. I have to, based off the way society tells us, you know, women should look, what beauty is, I have to readjust my idea and my value in myself in the image. I may still value myself above my core being and my belief systems and things like that, but what I look like, what I present to the world, I have to find a new way to value that.
And I have to grieve how I used to look, or how I think I used to look.
Yeah, and it's not so simple as just put a wig on.
Right.
Now, what I'm going to say is this, because this hits close to home for me. So as somebody who is a recent breast cancer survivor, someone who fought so hard to be able to keep their hair, and then the treatments that I did not work, and I still had to cut off all my hair. That's why I get clip-ins in. But fought so hard, I can completely understand the way that Jada feels because you have no power over your body but train you. Like I've had people come in my comments before talking about, oh, it's just hair, or it's just this. Or when I had to cut my hair off because people are insensitive, they're like, why did you cut all that pretty hair off? Not knowing that I've been wearing these clip-ins for what, like 3-4 months. Because my hair fell out after chemo. It didn't fall out in the middle of chemo. So all of this was gone. Had all the length on the bottom, but all of it was gone. So nobody realizes what that woman was feeling in that moment. And I'm not justifying anybody's behavior, but nobody also understands what Will is going through trying to take care of her. If you've never been a caregiver and you've never gotten to your breaking point and struggle to hold yourself together, then you don't understand that. If y'all didn't watch that man's documentary, y'all need to go watch it because he broke on there. Like, he's not okay. And like I said, I'm not justifying him, but I can clinically see how he got to where he's at. Now, do I? It was still shocking. I was like, Lord, no. But I can see all of this, and I think if people took a little bit more time, stop trying to judge the situation, all three of them, and took a little bit more time trying to be the Christians that people claim they be, or the spiritual, enlightened people, or the kind people, then you would see that this is a situation that needs help, support, love towards all three of them.
Yeah, because when I saw it, because I didn't actually see it in live time, I saw a clip of it. And I was like, man, something is going on with him. Like, this is because Will has been famous. We have all known Will for like 30 plus years. And this has never been something we've seen from him. He has always been known as a clean rapper, as the one to, keep his composure, things like that. And for this to be something that triggered him, like I was telling Dr. Strickland earlier, he's talked a few times about how he was failing Jada as a husband emotionally. And I can't imagine, like, it seems like he's been trying to grab at straws and they just keep slipping out of his hand. And when you feel out of control like that, the only thing you need is the tip of the iceberg. And I've seen comments about him why he didn't put a slap August like that.
Let me read a comment that's similar to that.
Okay.
Starling Oliver says, Will's actions had nothing to do with the joke. He is still reeling from the entanglement. What he saw was someone laughing at him and Jada again, but they are responsible for giving people the club to beat them over the head. Once again, healthy relationships are private. That's why they are healthy. Now, what I want to say about that, there is some truth in what you are saying, Ms. Starling, but I think what people don't understand, and I'm saying this from the perspective of a sex therapist, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett-Smith, and August Alsina have all gone on record saying that they were in an open relationship. Will Smith had his own open relationship going on at the same time, and August Alsina, in true poly form, asked permission to start a relationship with Jada. Nothing was private. Nothing.
And that's why he didn't slap him.
But I think the issue there is public persona.
The public persona they are struggling with that.
And I think the problem was when he did the red table talk.
Yes.
Because I don't think had this just come out about them. I mean, apparently people in Hollywood have known this for years.
Yeah.
It's just the public is learning this information.
But they did do a show like a decade ago that talked about them being in an open marriage and swingers.
Yeah.
So,
but social media things are a little bit more.
It's more out there.
More out there back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that kind of, again, we don't know, but it appears that the catalyst for all of this internal turmoil he's experiencing was after the red table talk.
The Band-Aid.
Yeah, and he became the butt of all jokes.
Right. Yes.
And people misinterpreted their situation.
Right.
They misinterpreted his emotions from that episode, and he became a laughingstock. He was already considered to be corny, you know.
He's not the cool kid because he's not fitting into the thug bad boy or real or whatever.
You know, there's been a bigger spiral happening for him. You know, his movies do not do as well as they once used to do. You know, they get talked about very harshly now. People are considering him to be, you know, like I said, he was a clean rapper, and people didn't like that, especially during the time where he came out, which, you know, more gangster rap was kind of crossing over at that time. So there's been years upon years upon years of him being beaten down publicly. And then but it hasn't been about personal stuff. So you already have all of that sitting there. And then now with the, you know, the whole August situation, I'm being beaten down unnecessarily, but I'm being beaten down about this August situation. And then the later comments she made about them in the bedroom.
Yes, because she could have kept that pride.
Right. Because they even misinterpreted what she said then.
Yes. Because they gonna take the sound bites. Right. I'm sure they're gonna take some sound bites we done said. And I'm be like, well, do with what you want to.
True. So, you know, he became a laughingstock.
Yeah.
And while I do think there is fault on both sides, I think what happened was, you know, it doesn't take much for when your cup is full, that one extra drop for things to start running over. And that was the one extra drop that kind of started that cascade. And I just am not gonna, my wife is hurt. We're going through this. And I'm also not going to be made fun of about our life again.
Yeah.
And he chose an inopportune time in an inopportune way to express himself and his frustration.
And there was definitely so many other ways he could have handled that. I just,
I wish she would have. But the thing is, you know how we talk about the emotional ladder and people not dealing with their primary emotions.
Yes.
He has been not dealing with his primary emotions because it must have been Dr.
Comedy. She said that.
Yes, and because he deals with things through comedy, and so because he laughs everything off, he's really just stuffing all of the emotions down. And when you stuff those emotions, they grow and grow and grow. And because we've told you all before, all emotions are healthy. We make them unhealthy because of our actions. And because everything that Will felt was healthy. But his actions is what made it unhealthy.
There you go.
We have a question from Thiesman. He says, question to the panel. Do you see Will and Jada as a toxic relationship as those we discussed earlier in this segment?
I'm beginning to.
I would agree.
I didn't at first, but I don't know if Jada is doing this for ratings or I don't know why she keeps putting their relationship on blast.
Yeah, there's something that's happening with them, and it's hard to kind of pinpoint what that something is, but you can see, because what you see with Will does not look on the outside like growth.
Right.
You know, it doesn't look like transformation with the point of healing.
It looks like he's stable in his unhealthiness.
Yeah.
When I say stable, I mean stuck, not like he's healthy stable. I mean like he's stuck. He's suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would agree. I did not, and now I don't subscribe now to the idea of couple goals, but you know, 15 years ago I probably did, and I would have seen them as a goal.
Yeah.
They seemed like they had fun together, that they really understood each other. They were super attracted to one another. They had a close-knit family. They were raising their children in this, alternative kind of way that was really open. But as they have revealed more and more of themselves, it seems as if all that glitters ain't gold.
Yeah. I believe what we're witnessing is the public healing of themselves individually as well as a couple. And so for anybody who's ever tried to heal, that's ugly. It's real ugly. And you got to think these are two, and I'm not giving nobody any excuses. This is just background. You're dealing with two inner city kids who made it big quickly. Nobody helping them, they helping everybody else. So the tools that we think they should have had, they just now getting.
But they're not using them.
They just now getting. Like in the last year, they starting to get stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm not a fan of couple goals. I'm like, that's y'all relationship that work for y'all. Because what I want to do is what I want to do, and whoever my partner is, we'll figure that out together. But there is definitely toxicity in all couples, all relationships, all families, and it's just a matter of there's public, there's celebrities, and so I think if they don't deal with the stuff that we are seeing, because this is a lot, it is explosive, it's going to be some issues. It's going to be some serious issues, but you got to think, their kids really tuned us in. Jada trying to emancipate himself. You got Willow who said, Daddy, you're not listening to me, and I don't want to be a singer anymore. I'm cutting all my hair off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're seeing things, and no, are they really doing too many different things than what other parents and other families are doing? No, but it is on a big stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I done went to a family reunion and seen somebody slap somebody. I'm just gonna be honest. Did they deserve it? No. You know what I mean? So I think we gotta kind of remember that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other part that I think about is Chris Rock and the embarrassment.
I mean, I'm so embarrassed for him.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for both of them, but
one, being slapped, being hit under any circumstances is a frustrating, angering, and embarrassing thing. But then to be slapped on national TV
And on that stage,
yeah,
it'd be different if you was at the hip hop awards.
Unfortunately. But yes, to be, at what's considered to be a prestigious award show, to be slapped. Like, you weren't pushed, you weren't punched, you were slapped. And there just seems to be something different about being slapped.
Yeah. I think especially as a man.
Right.
With, societal norms and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot. Do I think that this would have happened if it was The Rock? Probably not. There is a size differential there.
And he don't play that either.
Which is why I have concern when people say there's absolutely no reason for violence, none at all. But then you say, but it could have been me because I would have punched him back. But I thought there was no reason for violence. So what is it?
Yeah.
As much as in you is, remain peaceful. But everybody ain't peaceful.
No.
That's the reality of this situation.
That is the reality. And I do feel for Chris Rock because it puts him in a difficult position. Either I'm going to have to take the one down and, move on and not address the situation and hope that it dies down, or it has become comedy gold for him.
And it probably will, because he has a comedy show coming with Kevin Hart.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that they will be able to reconcile. I'm not saying they got to be friends or anything like that, but I do hope that they will be able to at least make amends and go on about their business, go on about, on their way. I think that I also wish that, like I said earlier, that Chris Rock would have done his due diligence in researching. Because I feel like y'all would feel some type of way to me as a therapist if I got up in here and started talking about how people should do this with their life, and if they're like that. Like, I have a responsibility for my power and my platform, and I feel like he didn't do that. The other part we didn't mention is this man created a whole documentary about black hair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's layers.
It's
There's so many layers.
I'm like, y'all both wrong.
Yeah, they're
on so many levels.
Yeah, but what I am glad, just like the comment from Hollis, is that I'm glad that Chris did. Unfortunately, because being slapped, I don't know how I would react. But I'm glad that he maintained his composure, because we're already, again, we talked about being seen as a monolith, right? Yep. So you have two black men on this public forum, one slaps the other, and my husband was telling me last night that this was the first time that the Oscars was produced by a black man. Mm-hmm. And you have a black man winning Best Actor, and a black man hosting.
And there were several awards that were first times, and that all got overshadowed because of this situation.
Yeah. I was making sure. But yeah, so you have all of this. I mean, it's such a nuanced situation. But I am glad that Chris Rock maintained his cool. Unfortunately, he was, assaulted. But I can only imagine what would have happened had he reacted and not responded.
Yeah. And it took a lot of control.
Yeah. It could have gotten really ugly.
So I do hope that Will and Jada from this continue to do the work. I don't know if they're still seeing, or if he's still seeing Dr. Romney. I don't know if Jada's been there or not, but I do hope that they are an individual and couples therapy, because there's a lot of work. And yes,
because I can't imagine the embarrassment for their children.
Oh gosh.
I read somewhere that Will was thinking about talking about this publicly.
He is.
And he's planning to go on the Red Table Talk.
Yeah, and I think he's going on there so that it's not a money grab for anybody. I think that's what it is.
First of all, I need y'all to just take the talk down, because this is when all of this started. Just talk
to other people. Don't talk to each other.
No.
I mean, talk to each other, but don't do it.
Right, but that is my thought about them going on the Red Table Talk.
Somebody else do it.
Because if your wife is the one asking you the questions,
yes,
it's easier for me to take it easy on you, protect your ego, control the narrative, versus if you go onto another platform, even if you give them the questions that says we're not going to answer this, that doesn't prevent them from asking and putting you on the spot.
No. And when I say go to somebody else, I mean go on Red Table Talk and have someone else host
interventionist.
So like someone, it could be Dr. Romney. Yeah, if that's who it needs to be. Yeah, but someone that has the skill set to deal with the situation and not just some random celebrity. Because if I see Gail one more time and asking questions and
Pinkett-Smith said, I want to see a Red Table Talk with a real professional, not her mother.
I think people misunderstand what therapy actually is.
Yes.
Therapy is not us just listening and throwing experience out or throwing some random things out. Therapy is about us listening intensely about what's going on in your life, connected. It's so very easy. Connecting the dots, putting puzzle pieces together, holding you accountable, translating things that you probably didn't even realize was going on, giving you insight about things that it was like, oh my God, that is really what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, that is not just about us
sitting down. It's not just sitting down and talking to somebody.
No, let me say this. I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to y'all like that. I don't. I do this because I love what I do. If I had to talk to y'all on the level that I talk to my friends and family, y'all wouldn't like me because we're not talking on the regular.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's so much there.
Yeah.
It's such it's such a complicated issue because there's no right or wrong when it comes to this one.
Shalon Harris, aka my sister, says, Shantae, right, I agree. Another adult should replace Willow, preferably one of these 3 educated dots, or someone like them.
Hey,
or all 3 of them.
I would love for us to go on the real. My mom has told me before that she would love to hear us go on the craft service.
Oh,
with them and working with them. Yeah. But I would love to go on the red table talk because they're gonna be able to keep the camera rolling because we get ready to get into that.
Oh yeah.
So all my my clients that I own, they already know this is gonna be my fave. Oh, so you thought that was right? That's what you're doing? Okay.
My clients are like, oh, Dr. Jones, she's ready. Y'all said the wrong thing.
I think we're all just about the same. It's like getting the same therapist.
Yeah, it's different specialties.
That's our clients. They was like, oh my God, I had 3 of you.
Yes, getting the same therapist. I would love to do that. So anybody that 6 degrees of separation that knows Will and or Jada,
or anybody in their family that can give them this.
Put the plug in.
Yeah, we ready the video. We ready. We don't have no arguments against y'all. We don't have no animosity because we understand. As therapists, we understand there is unhealthiness there.
Yeah.
I don't have. I like what Will Leslie and Jada as actors and actresses. I had no love loss. I don't like what he did, but no love loss.
And we make it a habit.
Then we really like, no. Where you live, honey? Because I need to come knock on y'all door and do an intervention.
Yeah. Because I'm not gonna be somebody who hold a grudge against something that wasn't done to me. Right. Like people up in arms, like he came to like your mom.
Right.
Your dad.
Right.
No. He needs to be held accountable, but the accountability comes from Chris Rock. It don't come from us.
And Jada.
And possibly the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think people, that's why we've talked about before how we allow social media and society to dictate too much of our lives.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to ask you, ladies, what are your thoughts about people saying that this situation may lead to people hitting, slapping, punching comedians for jokes that they don't like?
I mean, I agree that may be something that comes up, but I think this may also be a learning lesson that you ain't gonna be able to do that no more. I think security's gonna change, but Kanye West walked up and stole a mic from Taylor Swift.
That is true.
So this ain't the first time we seen somebody. Lil Mama was on stage doing an act she wasn't supposed to be doing. So I think we have to remember this is an ongoing thing, and I think security needs to get better. I think there needs to be some level of accountability in the pre-show. There needs to be some level of accountability in the actors, and you may need to not have it open like that because back in the day you had to do way more to get up on the stage. I think we might need to go back to some things we used to do.
And I also think this is a learning tool for comedians too. Like you may need to, upgrade your talent.
Yeah.
Because having now I understand sometimes people being the butt of your joke, I get it. But when it comes to certain things like that, that's so personal, like you might need to update your materials. And and if your writers are the ones that's doing this, you might need to hire.
Yeah, and something we haven't talked about. Sorry to cut you off. Is there going to be some accountability for the writers' table? Because
that part,
the fact, I ain't gonna get militant, but the fact that a white woman wrote a joke about a black woman in this climate,
and her hair when the Crown Act was just passed.
right?
What that last week? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
And ma'am, you've been in hot water for the things that you say in your acts and the way you handle yourself as a white woman.
Yeah.
She belonged in the homelands. That's what it is. She belonged in the homelands.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of accountability all the way around, including the Oscars for even allowing Will to accept his award. After that, if it had been any other lower tier celebrity, they would have probably been escorted out. But he is an A-list celebrity. He's not a D-list, celebrity. So I do think that there's some of that. So the Oscars, I also believe, need to be held accountable for, allowing him to continue on with the process.
And made it back to his old seat.
And then proceeded to cuss him out.
Yeah. And another group of people that we left out is the Williams sisters.
That whole family.
Because
that movie was about the daddy and their rise to fame,
and what I hate about it is it was about a black family that rose,
overcoming.
Yes.
And it was like I said, it was so many great pieces in that that show that we missed out on. The fact that Questlove won his award, and how emotional he was about his father not being at his kid, and the fact that Samuel finally got a dang Oscar and it was presented to
none of that is in the media.
It's all been overshadowed.
It's all been overshadowed by
Tom Ford.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of things that we just, and I hope, like people have been saying, I hope this is the last week that they talk about Will, and I hope they now begin to highlight the other important moments.
Yeah. Agreed, man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So like we said, we can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Y'all know we therapists, we can talk. So we do want to see, do y'all have any questions, anything that y'all, any burning desires that you want to know about?
Fires and desires.
Yeah. We've got some great things coming up while we're waiting on some potential questions to come through. We've got some great things coming up in the next few months. Next month is all about the church.
The black church.
The black church. So we're talking about church hurt. One of mine and Dr. Wall's favorite subjects.
Lord.
Being holy and horny. And we're also talking about the evolution of the black church and how people are becoming more in tune with alternative versions of spirituality. And the movie, the enemy for next month will be the Clark Sisters movie. So we wanted to let y'all know that now, just in case you have not seen it, because I don't think it's one that's going to be, like on Netflix. So
Yeah, go find it.
Yeah, you might have to go look for this one. So again, the movie for next month is the Clark Sisters biopic. Oh, thank you, Shantae.
We appreciate that. All that love.
I was looking at the J comment.
Of course, Dante would say holy and horny. Yes.
Oh, so we know. Okay, so we know which one y'all will be tuning in.
I know. Thank you, Mama Wanda. This was a very good session, she said.
Thank you. So, like we told y'all, we're trying to, expand, do some new things. This going into we're finishing up our second year. So going into our third year, we're trying to step up some things, try some new stuff. We are for sure going to be doing video.
Yes. Pray for me.
Yes, we are going to be doing video pretty much exclusively going forward because, we want everybody to be able to put a face with a name.
And it's been requested.
That too. And we just want y'all to see us, like, for real.
Now, Jay, how you gonna say, let me get my church fan and my Hennessy? Are you gonna mix it with apple juice?
Oh, okay.
Look, two opposing things can exist at once.
It can't. We're not a monolith.
So I am here for it. But yes, we're excited for things to come up. Our 100th episode will be coming up in May, I believe. So we're going to do big celebration for that. And then right behind that is our 2-year anniversary. So we've got a bunch of, exciting big things coming down the line. And we hope you guys enjoy some of the changes that we're making, some of the differences in the content that we're going to be putting out. We would love to have your feedback to see if what we're doing is resonating with y'all. So we appreciate y'all rocking with us as hard and as long as y'all have.
You're now rocking with the greatest.
So it definitely means a lot to us. So before we jump off here, while y'all have the opportunity, anything y'all want to add to the list for topics, things y'all would like for us to talk about, we definitely want to ask every time we have the opportunity to, because some of the things that y'all put in the chats are really good ideas, and we've done some of them, and we're working on others. So we want to know what you want to hear.
Definitely.
Thank you, Miss Oliver. She said, thank you, ladies. I love your energy and your positive vibes.
Thank you.
Sugar Plug, I want to be a part of the next live. Just putting that out there. Thanks in advance.
Where my chitless chocolate chip cookies at?
As soon as we click in, I'm taking my baby cookie.
Okay, I think. Oh, wait.
We're going to talk.
This is this. Okay. Because I'm definitely not getting that mixed up with nobody else. You know how, if you only knew how much I love chitless chocolate chip cookies, and I know that's an oxymoron, but it is what it is. Thank you.
So if you all can't think of any titles or anything that you want us to speak about now, you can always go back into the live and comment and give us the suggestions that you may have.
Shalon Harris said, it's all good. There's always nuggets in every session.
Oh, thank you.
We try. Okay. Well, I think we're good.
So y'all just keep commenting on the replay.
And y'all know we always end off with a quote.
And today's quote is brought to you by Robert E. Baines, Jr. No matter how much you love the person, you cannot change them. You may influence them, but at the end of the day, they must decide for themselves.
So once again, thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We had a fantastic time. We hope you guys had just as much fun as we did. And like I said, we're going to be doing more videos, so y'all going to see these lovely faces even more. All right, bye guys.
in control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.